Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Yellow Card Podcast. This is a special edition episode, and we had to make it a special edition episode because, as you may see, we are joined by two amazing guys from the Four Manc, One Toffee podcast out of England, and we're extremely excited to have them here. Um, of course, as always, Andrew Fasciano, and then you got Chris Jones as well, myself, Diego Galvis. As I said earlier, this is going to be a special episode. We're not even going to number it because it's just that special. It's just that special for us. So, without further ado, Josh, Chris, please introduce yourselves to our followers.
Listen, didn't you read the notes? It's Collins. I'm Chris in this episode. Come on, man. Read the notes one time.
You're lucky I can read.
Take it away, Collins. You start, mate.
Oh, I mean, where do we begin? I am a United fan, but clearly I'm a Jack Grealish fanboy. No, I'm joking. Just pre-podcast banter between us all because we've got the shite Jack Grealish do at the moment, but had to be done. Lockdown and all sends us crazy, folks. Yeah, good to be here, guys. Thank you very much for your invite. We are absolutely buzzing to be here. This is probably only the second or third time we ventured outside of the five of us, isn't it, Josh? So
yeah, my first time today.
Yeah, best game in the world means that you get to meet people from all over the world. So nothing we'd rather do on a Sunday afternoon as we watch Liverpool get pasted by West Ham.
I love that. I love that. Collins already bringing the fire. Absolutely love it.
Wow.
All right. So then over to Josh. Josh, please introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, so I'm Josh. I'm the Toffee in Four Mancs, One Toffee. So I like to bring, what some would say a little bit of balance to a very Mancunian opinion. But when it comes to Liverpool Football Club, we're all very much on the same avenue. We all dislike Liverpool. So sorry about that. I can't apologize.
It happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Josh, don't feel bad. At least you guys didn't lose to Sheffield United. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we lost to Newcastle yesterday, so
yeah, but I would take a loss to Newcastle over Sheffield. So
yeah, it was a shock to the system, I must say. We've been flying high recently, been doing really well, probably outperforming what everybody expected from us this year, despite the signings. But we have got a top class manager now, so yesterday was a bitter pill to swallow. I think for all Evertonians. But yeah,
do you not think that sums us up though as well? We are far outperforming what anyone thought we could do at the start of the season. Like we should be nowhere near the top of the table. And I say that frankly and honestly as a United fan. We're not good enough to win the title. So to be up there with half the season gone, we're probably having a similar kind of story to our season as Everton are, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I think if Manchester United was able to keep their form, keep a consistency coming, then there is the possible dialogues of us being in top three, maybe being the winners of this version of the EPL. But until consistency and until discipline come into place, I have to agree with Collins. There's no way we're going to win the title like this. Not at all. But again, this is a preview between Manchester United and Everton. So I'm going to kick it off to the Evertonians. I'm going to kick it off to Andrew and then on to Josh. Andrew, what are you most looking forward to this match? What are you not so much looking forward to this match? And how do you expect Ancelotti to kind of line up his man for this clash?
Yeah, well, as Josh said, we're coming off the back of a really disappointing performance yesterday against Newcastle. I think the back four that Ancelotti used yesterday in particular didn't really have the same stuff that we've grown accustomed to seeing the past couple of weeks. So for me, the first change that I would make is, I think, bringing Ben Godfrey back in. He's a center back by trade, but he's done a really good job at left back this season. He doesn't offer as much going forward on the offensive side, but I think he's been really crucial in terms of shutting things down and defending first. So I wonder if maybe Ancelotti goes back to what he tried against Leicester, which would be playing Lucas Digne ahead of Ben Godfrey further up the pitch. That way you don't miss out on Lucas Digne's quality and his ability to provide assists, but at the same time, you strengthen the defense a little bit. I mean, already this season, Manchester United has unfortunately beaten Everton twice. So I think the concern is there. I would say, though, that I think the pressure in this game is more on Manchester United than it is on Everton. And I'm curious to hear what Josh thinks about this. But for me personally, I would much rather prefer Ancelotti to prioritize the FA Cup game against Tottenham in the week after. Because I think, obviously I want us to finish as high as we can in the league, but I think at this point, kind of any illusions of challenging for the top 4 and qualifying for the Champions League are kind of have been put to bed at this point. So I would prefer, focusing on trying to finish 7th or 6th, get a Europa League spot, and then also kind of paying attention to the cup as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Andrew said. Firstly, in terms of the defence, it just didn't work yesterday. We're most dangerous down that left-hand side, and it's great to have Digne back in the squad. But Ben Godfrey has been fantastic for us since he signed for Everton Football Club. He's only a young lad. He already shows that he's strong, he's fast, he's got great defensive awareness. His positional play is brilliant. He offers something when he's moving forward as well, something in the air for set pieces. I think he's a great player, and we need to keep him in the squad so he can keep his match fitness ticking over. He's one for England in the future as well. But you can't push Luca Digne out of the side either. I mean, his stats speak for themselves. His assists, I think, he's also got sort of the most amount of forward runs and crosses in from any defender in the league, and that was with a spell out for injury as well. So just as Andrew suggested, push Digne up, play with a back 3 like we did against Leicester. Maybe move Seamus Coleman up towards a sort of right wing back position, and then you can play sort of 3 across the back, and then it strengthens the defence up as well. We've got our defensive midfielders in the squad, and then against a dangerous, fast-paced Man United squad, that's what Everton have always struggled with for years. It's always been a struggle against pacey forwards. So if you've got your Rashford, your Greenwood sort of running at you, we can't handle it. So I would shore up the defence. I'd maybe play 2 wing backs and 3 centre halves.
Yeah, I think in terms of that pace that you're talking about, I think that's specifically why Ben Godfrey is so important, because he's one of the few players in the squad right now who actually has some pace. Like we saw yesterday against Newcastle, that everything was just so slow and stagnant. So for me, I think you need to try and with players that you have in the squad currently try and get some pace in, but also in the transfer market. I know the window is closing really soon, so I'm not sure if it's going to happen in this window, but I think kind of looking further ahead, I think adding pace and directness to this Everton team is something that is going to help a lot.
Yeah, I think so. The problem has been, as I'm sure everyone interested in football is aware, but because of COVID, teams have been so skeptical about investing in the January transfer market. The money that they've lost through to COVID, fans not being in the stadiums, they just don't want to spend money. There's too much risk there. So I'm not expecting Everton to buy anybody, nor am I expecting any of the major contenders for the Premier League this year to invest. They might bring somebody in on loan, they might bring a cheap transfer in, but you're not looking at your 30, 50 million transfers in January. They'll be scouting now until the summer transfer market, and then they'll reassess for what's happening with COVID at the time, I think. So I'm not looking for any transfers in the Everton team in the last couple of days of the transfer market.
Yeah, I fully agree. Now onto Collins. What are you expecting for Manchester United? I'll give my takes after you. But what are you expecting out of Manchester United for this game against Everton? What is something that United really needs to address here?
I said it at the start of the podcast, but I do think it's weird the sort of parallels you can draw between Everton and United this season. I think there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, the glaring one is we're both outperforming what everyone predicted before the season. That's how mental the season's been. The other one for me, though, in terms of playing styles, is the left-hand side of the pitch. Strong for Everton, obviously, is our most dangerous side as well. You know, Shaw has looked like a man possessed ever since Teller's come in. And I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's, just finally getting himself back to his best after the injury against PSV a few years ago. He looked like he was having a promising career up until that leg break. And it's took a long time for him to get back to the kind of form we're seeing this season. He's been outstanding, sure, he really has. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's the fact that Tellers has come in. He's worried about losing his place. He's getting pushed a bit harder now than he was by Brandon Williams last season. But he's been great. And then obviously Rashford's been the biggest mainstay down the left-hand side. And we have looked dangerous. The right-hand side, on the other hand, has been poor for United. Wan-Bissaka's been hot and cold all season. I say it all the time, he's far too reactive as a defender. He's not proactive at all. He is brilliant at putting in challenges, and his tackling is fantastic. I think last season was one of the stats, Josh, we were talking about on the podcast not long ago. Him and Lindelof were two of the defenders in the Premier League last season where hardly ever were run past, hardly ever were beaten by strikers, always getting well-timed tackles in, basically. But it always seems to happen because his positional awareness is just not there yet to the standard that it needs to be to play for United. And then you've got the right wing problem for United, which is we don't know who to play at right wing at the moment because there is no one of the quality that we need to play at right wing. We had the debacle with Sancho in the summer, and now we're trying all sorts of different options. Diallo's come now. Everyone's been raving about him in the under-23s yesterday because he scored 2 goals, so we'll see what comes of that. So it's a glaring issue. In terms of this game, I've waffled on, just went off on a tangent there. Sorry, I do that all the time. In terms of this game, I think we're going to have enough to beat Everton. I think it's going to be tight, like it was in the Premier League game at the start of the season. I'm probably expecting Everton to go ahead, like that game. Was it Bernard scored the first goal that game?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
I'm expecting Everton to go ahead. It's happened to us a lot this season where we fell behind and then all of a sudden we've woken up. It's going to depend on personnel because we've got a couple of choices to make at the moment between, do we do Lindelof and Maguire and persevere with that, or do we bring Bailly back in, who's been looking outstanding recently and is, fingers crossed, touch wood, has stayed injury free. And then up front, do we go back to putting Martial front and centre? Or do we persevere again with Cavani, who, he had a good game yesterday. He offers something that no one else in the Premier League, I think, offers, which is he's just so experienced as a striker that he knows everything that's happening 3 or 4 moves or passes before it actually happens. It only comes with experience, that. And the bad thing for us is he's 33, 34. We wish he was 10 years younger. Mm-hmm. So does he go with Cavani, who had a decent game, I thought, but missed glaring chances that he should have bagged? Or does he go back to Martial?
Yeah.
They're the questions for me. And I think those decisions are going to be crucial. They're going to be the difference between us getting back to winning ways or a draw. Probably a goalless draw. Bit of a tight game. Don't know what you think, Diego.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think for me personally, it's more about a strategical change is needed to be made here for United. They need a new type of game that identifies what they're really looking to accomplish. I don't like this 4-2-3-1 formation whatsoever, especially against a team that has built their DNA in that formation, a 4-2-3-1. Everton has done a phenomenal job in developing that game, and I mean, Carlo Ancelotti is world class for that formation. I think for me, especially now that Scotty McTominay picked up a knock, I think for me it would be important for us to actually go in the offensive and go in a 4-1-3-2 formation, where you give 2 options with Greenwood and Cavani up front to be really offensive. And it was a bit upsetting for me to hear Amad Diallo playing for the U23 game, especially with so much buzz coming about him at Old Trafford and throughout the organization itself. It was disappointing to hear that. hopefully now that he scored 2 goals, that kind of got the attention of Solskjaer. Who knows? So he's a nice cold man, and I don't think he's gonna be coming anytime soon. But if I was Manchester United, I personally would go with the Lindelof Bailey combination in the back four. Keep Luke Shaw, keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka in their places. Luke Shaw, as you said, has looked like a man possessed. I think it was great actually to bring in Alex Telles, somebody that could push Luke Shaw's game to the next level, because Telles has developed such a great game in that left wing. Um, Fred
Definitely.
Fred is reliable. At times, he really annoys me as a Manchester United fan because he makes such pointless mistakes. But there's times where he makes those pointless errors that lead onto a scoring opportunity as well. Um, I like the Fernandez Pogba Rashford line as well. I think though, if I was Solskjaer, I'd be careful about how much I overwork Fernandez at this point. Um, he's a man that continues to be overworked. He's a man that continues to basically go back and forth between forward and defensively. And many times he's made defensive plays where the defense should really be there. Um, so for me, I think it'd be a combination of playing maybe Fernandez first half, maybe Van de Beek in the second half, kind of give them both a fair chance and rest Fernandez for a little bit, because you can't afford for him to pick up an injury here. You just can't. Um, that's just my personal opinion. I like De Gea so far. He's looks okay. I actually have been really impressed with Henderson as well. Henderson has been has been outstanding. I mean, just even in the FA Cup, he's looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
So De Gea is one of those guys that in the past 3 years hasn't been the most reliable goalkeeper that we've had. He's no Van der Sar, he's no Barthez in that kind of um, image there. But
Yeah.
He's saved our asses a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of big
He
times.
cost us against Sheffield United, though. I thought.
Yeah.
Should that have been a goal? No, I don't think
No.
that should have been a goal. But we said it ourselves, didn't we, Josh? Like, you can't be relying on refereeing decisions. De Gea's got to be confident as keeper there.
Yeah.
We're seeing it a lot in the Premier League at the moment. We saw it with Lloris with the Liverpool game the other day. You've got to be confident. You've got to make a decision.
Lloris was amazing in that play. Oh my God.
You've got to be confident as a keeper. You've got to make a decision. I'm either going or I'm staying. You can't sort of be in the middle ground, because you're just going to get caught out. 9 times out of 10, you are not going to get away with it.
Absolutely.
Can I just draw comparisons to Jordan Pickford yesterday against Newcastle?
Yes, you can.
For the first goal, he should have came rushing out, closed the gap, spread himself wide, and made it difficult for Callum Wilson to put the ball past him. What he did was run out, have a second, started to worry, went back.
He hesitated.
Yeah, hesitated, went back, and then thought, oh no, I could be closing him down. Came back out again, but by that point, Callum Wilson knows exactly where he's putting it, right in the corner. You need to instill confidence in your defence. You need to come out, especially if you've made the mistake. You need to come out, spread yourself wide. I think all goalkeepers, I'm an amateur, but all goalkeepers know, they're trained. You come out and spread yourself wide and close the space.
Yeah,
So
you have a higher chance of blocking that too. I was a goalkeeper for a good chunk of my life playing soccer, and you gotta spread yourself out. You have to. You gotta come out intimidating to that person to make them hesitate on their decision. And I think also another great point that you bring up is Anthony Martial. I think I was saying this yesterday on a Twitch stream when we were watching the Manchester United versus Arsenal game. I hate to say this, and I know a lot of Manchester United fans are not going to agree with me, but I think it's time to let go of Anthony Martial and let him explore a new scene. Unfortunately, he hasn't accommodated nor adjusted to what Manchester United is looking to bring in a new breed. At times, he's looked phenomenal, but you can't rely on somebody who basically can play whenever they want and decide how they want to play that day. Especially if you're looking to contend and you're looking to make a change in the organization and prove that you got the team built to take it to that next level, you simply can't have that type of personnel. It's the same exact thing as we were having with Paul Pogba until the transfer talks. And I think if he was to go, I think this is why he's displaying this type of game right now, because he's saying, transfer me to a team that is gonna make me their centerpiece,
Yeah.
like a Real Madrid, like a Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, anything like that. But enough of me there. I'm gonna actually bring it over to. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna bring it over. I'm gonna bring it over to our supposed Switzerland in here, considering that he's a Liverpool fan. He's not Switzerland. He's more like a Scotland and Braveheart. So just just give us your takes, I suppose, Chris. Just
Wow,
let's hear it.
jeez, Diego. Wow. So I do think in Manchester United's upcoming game against Southampton that I think that you're gonna see Martial get the start there. But I do agree with Collins. I think Cavani's gonna be the guy that they run with up front. But I wouldn't put it past Ole to do an offensive minded formation against a team like Everton. And the only kind of offensive style that I thought about was when you guys played Leipzig in the Champions League, when you guys beat them 5-0 with the 4-1-2-1-2. I think a formation like that could potentially be a different look for them. I think if you go Greenwood and Cavani up front, Fernandez, like Diego said, at Ecam, you get Pogba and Fred in the back. You get a guy like Matic in the like the back, and you run your back four with the hair. And that, I think it would be an interesting formation, and I think it'll create space for the Everton's left side. But I think at the same time, it'll give you a chance to be able to trap it and to contain it rather than let them go freely down the sideline. So I think that's something to potentially look at. Hopefully, God only knows what Ole. I mean, just listening to Diego from, the beginning of the year, Diego's done nothing but complain about the guy. So God only knows what he's doing for Everton. I mean,
but
you guys
if we're gonna say that I've been complaining, my complaint has been consistency, and it's something that all Manchester United fans can agree. There's zero consistency.
No, see, 100%. No, I agree with that 100%. But the thing is, for me personally, watching from the outside, he gets so set on his formation that he's like, all right, we're just going to run it like this. He needs to be able to expand his variety more. And if he expands his variety more and can create a lineup that fits this team, they're a good team.
Yep.
That's my takeaway on Manchester United right now. Everton, on the other hand, I do think I had them finishing in the middle of the pack. I had them finishing, I think, 7th when I wrote my predictions at the beginning of the year. I thought that getting Ancelotti was good. Getting a guy like James Rodriguez to go with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin was very good for them. They're just a piece away from being a legitimate threat in the Premier League, I think. Whether it's offensively, defensively, whatever you think, as an Everton fan, as a guy on the outside, just seeing how good they can be with potentially one more piece, it would be scary to see Everton that good in the Premier League again.
Yep. No, I agree. Solid takeaways from Chris Jones. Thank you very much. Now let's move it on to score predictions. What do we think? I'm gonna start with Collins, Josh, Andrew, Chris, and then myself lastly. So Collins, give us your score prediction, sir.
God, you're asking me to predict a score that has United playing in it is just an absolute recipe for disaster. You just don't know,
because it can literally go one of like 17 ways.
It could be 7-0 or it could be 7-0 Everton. You just don't know what it's going to be. I do.
Sit on the wall.
Yeah, it's going to be a 0-0. I do think we're due a result. I mean, we weren't great against Arsenal. We should have won the game, but we weren't great against Arsenal yesterday. Sheffield United, that's as poor as I've seen us play for a long, long time. It's probably the worst I've seen us play since. Strangely, you mentioned actually, Chris, the second Leipzig game.
Mm-hmm.
That first half was disastrous. It's probably the poorest I've seen us play since then.
Let's put it this way: if Harry Maguire had to score a goal for us, it was just that bad.
Yeah, just awful game. And we just haven't. We seem to be so consistent for so long, and then we have these little setbacks, these little weeks or 2 week periods where everything goes a bit to shit, basically, to put it bluntly. So I'll back us. I'll say 2-1. I think 2-1. We'll fall behind. I think we'll battle back in the game. We'll probably get the winner in the last 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, Josh.
I'm going to predict 1-1. I think Carlo's going to have to learn from that Newcastle result. I watched the post-match yesterday. I don't think he was pleased. He didn't see the passion that we've been displaying in previous good results. I don't even think we played particularly well against Leicester, really. They came out of the blocks really fast. We managed to sort of slow the game down and play to our sort of like skills and traits that we can display. And we managed to get the early goal, which I think is what we'll try and do against Man United. I think we'll try and slow down the play and pass it around quite a lot, which is what we seem to do these days, trying to string about 100 passes before we even press. And then try and catch them on a quick break and get the early goal. But we are always susceptible at the back. So I just think that United might get an equaliser, probably created by Martial. I know he's the man like in the public eye at the moment because he's not putting in the performances. Against Everton, he always scores. And I always say this, but Martial just seems to have an amazing game against Everton every time. So if he's not playing particularly well at the moment, play him against us, and you watch, he'll get a good game under his belt. So I think, it could be 1-1. I'm going to predict a Martial equaliser.
Wow. All right.
Very specific.
All right. On to Andrew.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh, that I think we're probably going to look to slow things down and kind of take the pace out of the game. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier on, I think if we can get Alan back from injury, he would be such a difference maker in this type of game. No one else in Everton's midfield can defend as well as him. So I think he could be a clear X factor for me. If knock on wood, he comes back and is healthy, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Everton are going to win this one 1-0. The last time Everton beat Manchester United at Old Trafford was 2013. So it's been coming. Brian Oviedo scored the winner in that game. And I think
what a reference.
Everton legend, Brian Oviedo.
Brian Oviedo. Where's he thrown that one from? My God.
Pulled that out of the bag.
I did, yeah. Costa Rican guy, so have to represent with the CONCACAF. But I think Ancelotti, especially also with no fans in the stands this season, Everton have been a lot better on the road than they have in past seasons. So, yeah, it might be a bit of a foolish pick, but I'm sticking with my guns and going Everton to win 1-0.
Love that.
Okay. All right.
About time someone sticks with their guns around here.
All right, Chris, what about you, sir?
Oh, I mean, let me look at the table first and give you a biased pick here.
So you mean to tell us you came up prepared?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Cut it out. I'm only joking with you, dude. Relax. I always come prepared. I do think so. For looking on the outside, looking in, I think you guys are going to draw with Southampton coming up this week, and then coming into this Everton game, you're going to be playing with a chip on your shoulders because you're 2-1 in your last 3. You need points to be able to catch up to Man City and company. I think they're going to come out guns blazing against Everton. I'd see depending on the formation that Ole goes with, I could see them winning 2-0.
Okay. All right. So for me personally, seeing this is at Old Trafford, seeing that both teams are kind of in that mindset where they're like, we really need to change our game and we need to do it fast. I think we're actually going to see a highly competitive game at Old Trafford this come around, and I'm going to go with a 3-2 score for United. I think Everton is going to come in guns blazing as well, but United's also going to come in guns blazing. I think for Solskjaer being a legend, quote unquote, because he's no Eric Cantona, in my opinion. I think for him, it'd be important for him to secure a win at home at Old Trafford, considering you just dropped the ball to Sheffield United. So in a way, you got, number one, legacy to protect at Old Trafford, but number two, you got to send a message to know that we're still here to compete for that top 5 spot. And what better way to send it than to compete against a highly qualified team like Everton. So I'm going with a 3-2 here.
That's just because Diego just doesn't like David De Gea. That's why.
No, I don't. I'd be the first one to admit it. I don't like him one bit. If I had been even Mourinho when he had the opportunity to transfer him, send him away. Thanks for coming by.
Is that when the fax machine went?
Yeah.
Fax machine. That is the biggest load of bollocks I've ever heard in the whole of my life, that fax machine. What season was that? Like 2016 as well? Who uses a fax machine past 1995? Come on.
Seriously.
I laugh at that season. I'm like, who uses a fax machine for a transfer to States?
Fax machine. Absolute madness.
Oh, God, I forgot my beeper. Sorry.
I forgot my beeper. Oh, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. All right, guys. So that does it for this special edition of the Yellow Card Podcast. If you are not following for Manc One Toffee, I suggest you do because you're missing out. Great content every week. Great takes every week. And I believe you guys are streaming now as well. So please tune in to the channel as well.
Thank you.
Collins, please give us your Twitter handle where we can follow you.
Do you know what? People ask me this all the time, and I always forget whether there's an underscore in it, but it's at Crimson Cod. I'm sure it is. So just you'll have to bear me that one. But find us at WeAre4M1T. And for all our guys who are listening to, please go and follow the Yellow Card Podcast. And hopefully, guys, yes, we have started live streaming. So hopefully, fingers crossed, get schedule sorted and we will get a game in soon.
Yes, absolutely. We look forward to that. Josh, give us your Twitter handle where you can follow you aside of course, we are 4M1T.
Well, to be honest, I'm not the biggest Twitter goer other than for the 4 Mancs 1 Toffee boys. So I'd just be really pleased if people could go and follow the at We Are 4M1T boys. I give most of my opinions on there. So yeah, just give us a follow. And thanks very much for sort of all your support and all your listens. And thanks for having us on the show today, guys. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been our pleasure to have you guys. As always, you can follow the Yellow Card Podcast at Podcast Card on Twitter. You can follow me, Diego, here at Diego_the DJ. Andrew, where can people find you?
Mine is at AFASC573.
And Chris?
Mine is C Jones JONESWHO 1212.
All right. And that does it for this special edition of this Yellow Card Podcast episode, Manchester United versus Everton preview. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.